Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Stephanie Cassidy, and I'm founder of Aquiline Coaching. It's a coaching practice that I founded just to help news and entertainment professionals. I am a former network executive myself, and I've been an ICF certified coach since 2019. And I really brought my coaching to the network when I was in my role. And I left there last year because I really saw the great need for coaching at for newsroom and entertainment professionals. Um, and it's interesting because the journeys are both very different. And I'll talk about it a little bit as we go on. But I'm just so honored to be partnered with the Society for Professional Journalists, the standard bearers of journalism. And it was wonderful when I approached SPJ about bringing coaching to our profession. They 100% were on board, had been thinking about it themselves. So I'm really honored to be partnered today with SPJ. So thank you all for being here. And I am only able to interact with you all through the chat. So if you all want to use the chat to ask some questions, that'll be great. I'd love to hear from you. If you have questions along the way, we can try and make it as robust as possible. And other than that, there will be time at the end for Q&A. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so, um, so what the heck is coaching and why do journalists need it? So, let's see if my slides will advance. I will show you. Here you go. Okay, so today for our webinar, what we're going to do is we're going to talk first about what coaching is and how it's different from the other disciplines like therapy or mentoring and things like that. We're going to talk about the different reasons people hire coaches and discuss the benefits specifically for journalists and the kinds of things that you might want to tackle if you were to have a coaching session. We're going to talk a little bit about what you can expect from coaching. What do you expect from the coach? What will be expected of you in a coaching session? It is a collaborative process. And what does a typical coaching session look like? We'll also talk a little bit about if you were to select a coach, the kinds of things you should look for and the kinds of questions you should ask. And we'll also take a look at what does it mean to be an ICF credentialed coach and why it's important to work with coaches who are credentialed. And we'll also, for full transparency, I'm going to be also talking a little bit about how frequently you meet with a coach, how much it would cost, and we're also going to offer you some special bonuses and things like that at the end. But the other thing that's exciting too is that with SPJ, we're partnering with coaching in a big way in a couple of different ways. So we'll talk a little bit about that too toward the end. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free, pop them in the chat. I thought this was going to be, I was going to be able to talk with you too, but it looks like we're only going to be able to talk through the chat. So please, I welcome your questions and comments. So please throw anything you want in the chat. Okay. So if you can just pop in the chat, I'd love to know where you're joining us from and what your beat is. Are you in print? Are you in radio? Are you in broadcast? So go ahead and pop in there where you're joining us from. And great, weekly print. Hi, Brendan, how are you? Great. Okay. Well, the good news is that for journalists, what we do is, we're reaching out to print and broadcast and radio and streaming just because it's so beneficial. And I'm seeing Mark. Here comes Holly. Holly from Nashville. Oh, that's great. State policy and politics. AI assistant helping Mark Kellner. Oh, how cool. Uh, Fantastic. Okay, great. All right. I like to make it feel as small as possible. Even though we're in a big webinar, I like to make it feel as intimate as we can. Hi, Clarence. Oh, it's Southern California. Thanks for getting up early. All right. Hey, Liz. Salt Lake City. Oh, nice. Magazine series. This is Utah. Oh, PBS. How great. All right. Well, thank you all for joining, and I look forward to seeing where everybody else is in from. So let's talk a little bit about coaching. So when we define coaching, the ICF is the International Coaching Federation. It's the longest, the oldest body of foundation for the profession of journalism. So they set the standards and set the ethics, and they credential coaches like me. So they define coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires clients to maximize their personal and professional potential. Keywords here in this are that it's partnering and thought-provoking and creative. So when you partner with a coach, it really is a partnership. So when you're selecting a coach, you want to make sure that you find somebody that you really sync with, because it's not a matter of your coach telling you what you need to do to achieve your desired outcomes. It's really working together, and it's a bespoke process where the two of you work together and figure out what the best solution is for you. So things that we'll focus on are things like goal setting, creating a desired outcomes, and managing personal change. It's anything from getting to your next level in your career to possibly asking for a raise, or navigating AI and how it's impacting the industry. It could even be just having a difficult time with a colleague at work and you need to have a conversation. And all of these things really are things that you would need a coach for. You don't need therapy for things like this. You need a coach. And managing personal change. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So as I mentioned, therapy is a deep dive into the past, usually to resolve past traumas. And it's a look back at where you've been and trying to resolve. So with coaching, it's different, because coaching, we take a look at your present and your future state. What's eating your lunch right now? What's your struggle for you right in this moment? Is it a work-life balance? There's any number of things it could be. Again, rise of AI, facing impending layoffs. What are you going to do? How are you going to plan? You don't need a therapist for that. You need a coach. When it comes to consulting is also different. So with a consultant, you're going to pay a consultant money, and they're going to tell you what you need to do. When it comes to mentoring's interesting, because it's not it's similar to coaching in some ways, but here's where it's not. Coaching is a regular process, whereas mentoring is something that you might call on a mentor here and there. It's not usually a regularly scheduled program. It's more of an as-needed basis, and they give you guidance. But when it comes to coaching, it's you're making the decision to meet regularly, come up with a plan, and have an accountability partner along your journey. So a mentor doesn't always offer an accountability partnership, but they offer guidance and best practices and things of that nature. When it comes to training, well, this is a training. This is, I'm downloading some information and you all are participating. But it's just really a one-way information share. And then finally, of course, it's not athletic coaching. We all know what that is. So okay, so when you have a coach, you have an ally and a thought partner. Some of the things that we'll do in a coaching session are help you sharpen your focus on what it is that you really want and why you want it. We'll take a look at identifying any limiting beliefs. It could be imposter syndrome. It could be a lack of confidence. There's so many different things that we face. And, through coaching, we help you get unstuck and remove some of these roadblocks to get you to those desired outcomes. You'll tap into your skills and find alignment with who you are and what you do. That's really a big piece. I love working with people who really are, they need to be aligned with who they are and the work that they're doing. It's funny, I was working with a young actor yesterday, because we do a lot of work with SAG-AFTRA folks, and he was working in a law firm for his day job, but they just shuttered, and he needs to find something else to do. And he was looking at other law firms, and we were talking about, what if you moved into production? You're a producer now. You've proven yourself. And it was such a little shift of opening his aperture, but to really, to kind of look at his life in a different way, and finding that alignment with who he is and what he's doing. And then something else we do is, and a big part of what we do is we co-create that plan for you to move forward. So we work together. So it really is important when you select your partner in this journey that, that you're on the same page, and that you can move forward together and check in, and your partner will help you reflect things back to you that you might not even see, that you say or that you feel. And it's excellent. I mean, it's very fulfilling, and it's really been beneficial for the journalists that I've been working with, especially at such an interesting time in our industry. Your coach, again, your accountability partner in the process to help you manage personal change. And plans are tailor-made just for you. So, there are books and resources out there, and those are always great for perspective and best practices, but some solutions don't work for everyone. So the idea is for you to have an accountability partner, and have this bespoke process. So it's really tailor-made for you. All right. Some of the reasons people partner with coaches: optimizing individual teamwork and performance, improving communication skills, increasing productivity, expanding career opportunities. That's been really big right now for us, for sure, with all the layoffs that we've seen. Increasing self-esteem and self-confidence, managing your work-life balance, and improving business management. Work-life balance, of course, is a big one for journalists. So in particular, when it comes to this field, for too long, we've seen the terrible coping mechanisms, in being worn almost like a badge of honor. The smoking or vaping or substance abuse or poor diet and exercise, and, putting your personal relationships on hold because, there's breaking news happening, and the stress of the job. And, your family, they see it and they feel it, but, it's hard to explain sometimes the work that we do and the journalists do. And, and what they see is that you're missing another dance recital, or you're missing another family event. And, to have someone that's a coach that's in your corner, that all they want to do is help out and listen and be there, to help you make shifts to improve your life in all ways, be it personal and professional. It's a real benefit. For too long, we've tolerated a lot of toxic newsroom environments. It's legendary. We'll see it in movies and TV shows, and they almost make parodies about it, but it's true and it's real. And so, how to navigate a toxic newsroom environment. Your family might hear you saying over and over again how bad work has been today, but to really have an ally and a partner to really help you move forward, so you don't have to lay that burden at their feet. Too often relationships suffer because loved ones don't always understand, as we just mentioned. And the rise of AI we've really seen an impact too. There's that ambivalence toward it, and then there's some acceptance toward it, and trying to wrestle and navigate, what the world's going to look like moving forward. AI is our generation's printing press. It's our Google, it's our typewriter. This is the next tech innovation for us. And how are we going to face it? And do we want to be on the front leading edge and embracing it and seeing how we could work together with it? Or are we going to be playing catch up because it's here, and we have to navigate it. And some people are having a more challenging time of it than others. So working with a coach is something that can help with that too. Corporate downsizing, layoffs, all of, the merging of the media outlets, we're seeing it. It's taking a toll on our friends and possibly even people who are on this call. So having, again, a journalist to work out, or having journalists be able to work out these kinds of topics with coaches, or it's powerful. It's great. And and the time has come for it. There really is, in my role at the network, I really saw how I used coaching with the 20 members of my own team and how much they benefited from it. And that's what got me thinking while I was there. We need to expand coaching for journalists. They need to know and understand that there's a powerful resource for them that they can use and lean into. That's why when I asked Society for Professional Journalists if they were interested in partnering, they jumped on it because they could see it too. And so it's our hope that we're going to be able to not just expand it to individuals, but also networks, studios, organizations that so we can offer coaching at an organizational level as a wellness benefit. But until then, I'm proud of you for all being here as individuals to find out more about coaching. After all, mental game coaches, right? I mean, if you think about it, athletes have mental game coaches. They have a coach for the mechanics of the game, and they have a coach for their mental game and how they show up at work. So why shouldn't we as professionals have someone that helps us and how we show up in our own jobs and help us with our mental game for how we walk in the door to work? So let's talk a little bit about what you can expect from a coach. So the coach's role is to really make sure that the whole process is transparent, that you feel safe, that you know that it's a collaborative and thought-provoking process, but it's also confidential. When you're in a coaching session, your coach will never tell anyone about your session. Now you can tell anyone you want, but for coaches, it's important to us that we keep that confidentiality so you know that it's a safe space for you. Um, there is a coaching agreement that a coach will send to you. And the coaching agreement is important because it really lays out exactly what coaching is and what you can expect from it. And so as part of the ICF Code of Ethics, we do send that out to you before any coaching begins. It can be a shorter or longer kind of, sometimes it looks like a contract, sometimes it's just as simple as an email, but there is that level of transparency. Another thing that you can expect from your coach is they're going to help you discover, clarify, and align, help you do these things. But you want your coach to help you in those ways and be aligned with your goals and help you clarify what your goals are and help you define what they are. So you may know that in a year, you want to move from producer to senior producer. And with your coach, you'll lay the plan to what is that going to look like? What steps do you need to take right now? What things are blocking you from that? What could stop you from getting there? And how can we plan to get around those or conquer and move forward past those? Your client also, as a client, the coach will help you with your self-discovery. So maybe sometimes I find that people in a coaching session will say things that they've never said before, or they'll realize, wow, I never really articulated something for myself, and they'll do it in a session. And that kind of partnership is powerful. And that's part of the work that we do as coaches. Again, we create that safe space for you to explore ideas, maybe ones that you've never even thought, never said out loud, as mentioned. And we elicit meaningful and client-generated solutions. Your coach, the most powerful work comes from you, and we're constantly asking questions and probing to find out what feels right for you. And once we've done that, sometimes we'll offer some suggestions as well, but it's more about finding client-generated solutions and improving on those in order to make you move forward or help you move forward, because it is a bespoke process. And again, it's like reading a self-help book. That's a great solution and it works for some, but it doesn't necessarily work for all. So when you work with a coach, that's part of the magic of coaching is that collaboration. And the final thing is that the coach it is important that they're your accountability partner, so that at the next time you check in, you see how things are going and how following the trajectory we have of that year-long goal to get to that from producer to senior producer by next year. How are we tracking? So you have that with a coach. As for your role, Clients, again, it's really active and robust conversation between coach and client. So the client is expected to take ownership and be accountable for the actions and for moving forward, and ownership of the session too, because each time you come to a session, the first thing we'll open up with is, what would you like to talk about today? What is it that what would feel like a win for you with this conversation today? What is your desire? So rather than the coach coming to the conversation saying, we're going to work on this week, you're going to come and you're going to bring that to us and we're going to work together. We ask that the clients stay open-minded towards self-discovery, even things that maybe you've always believed about yourself to be true. This is the place where you can actually explore those things. Maybe you've always thought you work in broadcast, but you're not a great writer. There's other people on the teams that are great writers and you're not such a great writer. Well, maybe this is the place where we explore that. Maybe there's maybe that's not necessarily true. And if it's a desire to be a better writer, what tools, how could you become one? So it's having that open mind. And you will play an active role in a coaching session. Again, we work together. So it is a back and forth between us. There is a level of introspection, reflection, and honesty. I always like to ask my clients to be authentic, brave, and curious. So bring your authentic self to a session. Be brave about saying things or trying things out in session. It's the exact playing ground for that. It's the exact right opportunity to play with those kinds of thoughts and desires that you might have. And be willing to be honest with yourself, both positively and negatively. If there are things that you could be doing better, to be brave to know that, but also to be honest with yourself that maybe you are better at some things than you think you are, and to be curious. Get curious about those things and things that are coming up for you, things that you're feeling, and why you're feeling certain ways. So we also ask that you have achievable expectations. Maybe you don't want to go from being like a producer to the CEO in one fell swoop. We definitely can work on stretch goals, but we want to manage expectations and at the same time have you stretch and reach and go for more than where you are now. Accountability, again, it's just a matter of being accountable, taking ownership, and being responsible for the changes that you will make from session to session and the steps that we'll talk about in a session. And your coach isn't going to track you down and follow up with you like, hey, did you do that X, Y, and Z, before our next session? Make sure you do that. We're not going to do that. So that's going to be on you to take those steps. But in the next session, we'll check in with you. So what does a coaching session look like? Well, I mentioned already that at the top, you're going to dictate the agenda. So you're going to be the one that says what it is that you want to discuss today. So oftentimes with coaching, say you have an 8-session coaching package, and we've decided you want to, again, we'll use that example, you want to be the producer that gets to senior producer by next year. So, but sometimes, and we'll be working toward that, but sometimes you'll come in with something that's really upsetting to you. Maybe there's something that your boss said, something that's throwing you off track. And we can pivot, and it might feel better to you for that day that we take that pivot and that we shift from from our original plan to service what you need to service in the moment, with always an eye on getting to our final goal. But you will dictate the agenda. The coach will ask you clarifying questions. So if you bring in a very broad topic, we're going to drill down and we're going to ask you some more questions so we get really specific about what we can accomplish in the next hour together. And throughout the session, sometimes a conversation may pivot. For example, if your boss did have a difficult conversation with you that you wanted to talk about in a session, then as we're talking, you might be talking about how you feel about your boss, but it ultimately might lead to something that he pointed out that's an insecurity of yours and something that you've not been willing to work on or address. So maybe the conversation pivots. At that point, we'll mention, hey, we started talking about your boss and how to resolve that, but now it feels like the conversation's taking a turn. What would be the best use of our time together? Do you want to talk about the boss, or do you want to move to the pivot? It's feeling like the pivot, but like we ask you where you want to go with the conversation. Together, we identify ways to move forward, and make that plan for how you can make shifts to get to your desired outcomes. And we identify key findings. So at the end of a session, I'll always ask the clients, what were your big takeaways from today? And the client will articulate back to us, what they hope to do, what they took away, what they were shocked to find. And then finally, the coach and client agree on their next session, their next coaching session together. Benefits of coaching for individuals: gaining new insights and perspective, expanding possibilities and workshopping ideas, having someone that's your thought partner that you can kick around some ideas with. For example, like I had the idea to bring coaching to news and entertainment professionals, and geez, should I step away from my job at the network to do this? So you can workshop big ideas and fun things, interesting things, career-focused things. This is your place to do that. And again, have some fun. Become focused on what's most important to you. Identify what fulfills you. Again, trying to get that work-life balance and that head-heart alignment, all of that, working so that you're optimizing and operating at your best level. Actively pursuing your personal and professional development goals with intention. So often for journalists, we're on that gerbil wheel, that hamster wheel of, that we never get off, that breaking news cycle. And so often we get promoted or move to shows that, maybe we like it, maybe we don't, but it's a job, and we're just kind of moving along in our career, not being intentional about where we want to go. So we really focus on being intentional about our life moves and career moves. Optimizing your inner trust, intuition, self-worth. These muscles definitely, you start flexing these muscles and through coaching for sure. And you do find that you do, with an accountability partner, you seem to achieve things faster, and you have that accountability partner to make sure you see things through to the end. Benefits of coaching in organizations. It promotes a positive work environment. I don't know if any of you are in leadership roles or anything at your organizations, but some of the ways that we offer it is we offer a discount for companies that bring coaching in, or there's also some organizations have coaching culture, and they promote coaching and offer coaching to employees. Employees feel valued, invested in, and supported by their employer, deeper sense of loyalty, take ownership of their growth and development. It does foster employee engagement. People who do get coaching from their employer do feel more invested in. There's studies that the ICF has done that support this, and people are more loyal, they stay longer, and they feel that the company cares about them. It does increase business performance, employee satisfaction, employee retention, and accelerates organizational success. So I think most of you are more individual, but I do like to hit on those points, because if you are in a situation that you can influence some of the decision makers or have them be open to the conversation, we're more than happy to have that conversation. So, how to find the right coach for you? So some of the questions you want to ask, it's kind of like a job interview, right? So when you have a job interview, they're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. And you're also trying to see if that job is going to be the right fit for you to spend 40 hours a week doing. So it's the same thing with coaching. You want to make sure that your coach is the right fit for you. And so you want to ask some questions like what their coaching experience is. What types of businesses do they work with most often? What is the career level? Some people really like working with C-suite. Some people like working with new young professionals. Some people like that middle management area. For journalists, same thing. It could be some want to work the network executives, some want to work with, mid-tier. It just depends. For our purposes, we have 3 of us in the practice and we do everything. So, I see it from both ways. I mean, I love the young. I think it's really powerful working in that middle tier to get to that next level. And of course, having been an executive, I definitely know that side of the coin too. But those are questions that you want to ask. What's your coaching philosophy? Do you have a specialty? What are some of your coaching success stories? Something that they're really proud of. That usually tells you a lot about getting one of their personal stories. Coach specific training. And we'll talk about why that's important on the next slide. And do they work with any assessments? So assessments are things like a Myers-Briggs, a personality assessment, or the Big Five, or you may have heard of these different kinds of assessments, and there are different ones for different different disciplines. So if you're looking to be an executive, there's some for that, or if you're looking for teams to get along better. So there's different kinds of assessments. So if there's one that's particularly important to you, you want to ask if they offer any. And asking if they're a member of ICF or if they hold an ICF credential. That is my preference. I'm also biased because I am an ICF certified coach and also a brand ambassador for ICF. But let's talk about ICF just for a sec. So ICF is the International Coaching Federation. They advance the coaching profession. It's a global organization. And you can see all the stats here, right? 130 chapters, 70 countries, So basically the mission of what they do is to empower coaches, set the standards, the guidelines, the ethics, and all of that. So what's important about being an ICF certified coach is that they have gone through a rigorous process. So they have had, I believe it's 70 hours of studying, like the curriculum, and then they've had so many hours of actually practical experience. Then they have to get tested. There's an oral component to it, and so there's a very rigorous process for becoming an ICF certified coach. They have to get recertified every 3 years. So looking for someone that is an ICF certified coach is really great. There are some other kinds out there, and that's just do your homework and just make sure that you're working with a coach that suits your needs and has done enough studying and knows enough about the ethics of the industry to powerfully be able to assist you. So how much time should you schedule for a coaching session? So when you invest in coaching, I always like to just mention to people that coaching, it's like when you go to a therapist, you don't go to one session and think that everything's going to be cured. So it's the same thing with coaching. Coaching is, they're done in packages. So I don't want you to ever feel like if you're talking to a coach, like they're trying to upsell you, they just want to sell you packages. It's not what they're, maybe some of them are trying to do that, but the point is that it's actually, that's what coaching is. It is a series of sessions to help you move forward. There's been some research, a package of 6 sessions, you really start to see some significant shifts. But a three session package works. We offer them just so people can kind of get used to coaching a little bit, but it's usually for something a little bit like a little more concentrated focus. One session of coaching is really good for just people that maybe need a quick maybe they need to figure out, they've got 3 different ideas for what they want to title their column, and they want to work out which is the best one, or something that they could work out in an hour of coaching. Or we do make 1 hour available for people, but it's usually just for that purpose. I also like to share that coaching should be spaced about a minimum of 2 weeks apart, because it really gives people the opportunity to do the work. So, see how life gets, especially in breaking news. You have the intention of doing whatever it was that you came out of your last coaching session with, but then who knows what happens in the world, and now you're working late nights, and you're not able to do the work. So spread it out at least 2 to 3 weeks. You can even do once a month, but anyway, I like to offer that 2 is really the most narrow window I'd do. So I promised full transparency, so I wanted to show you what the ICF lists as some of the pricing that you can kind of expect for different levels. So executive coaching usually comes in around $340. I have seen it way higher than that, but I'm not saying people aren't worth it. Just do your homework, find out what it is that they offer, what kind of experience they have. Business owners and entrepreneurs usually around the 240 mark. Managers, that middle tier, is usually about 230. Team leaders 170. Staff members 130. That's just on average. Now, for SPJ and Aquiline, we're doing some exciting things around coaching for you. So the first is this webinar. So thank you so much for participating. This is our first webinar for you all. So I hope you're getting a lot out of it. And the next thing that we are doing for you is we are launching an Ask a Coach column. And what we're going to do with this column is we're going to do it once a month, and you can submit any questions that you have. In a way, it's kind of like a Dear Abby column where you can put a question out there for us to respond to. But the interesting thing about what we're going to do with the column is, in the spirit of coaching, we are actually going to start the column with asking questions back to the person who submitted the question. So when the question comes in, we'll put the question, and then I'm going to get curious. And it would be as if we were in a session together, and I'm going to ask a few questions that I'd like to know a little bit deeper about the issue that was presented, so that this way everybody that's in the that's reading the column can also maybe take it back to their own experience and think about it for themselves. So almost that we could all participate. And then I'll offer some solutions after that, some things that might potentially work. But again, coaching is a bespoke process, so I really want to make sure that we keep that spirit of coaching in the column. Next, we are also going to do on Sunday nights at 6, we are going to be doing a bi-weekly virtual coaching, not a coaching session, really. It's just more like a time to come together and decompress about the week, possibly just share successes or challenges, and decompressing, or what we're looking forward to, sharing best practices with one another. It's just going to be a wonderful place to come. That is, it doesn't matter what your beat is, if you work for a print or broadcast or streaming news outlet, or what your politics are, or what kind of outlet you work for. None of it matters here. On Sunday nights, we just come together as journalists to just decompress and just talk about, because when you think about it, when news breaks and something happens in the world, every newsroom that's impacted is going through the same thing. Everybody's canceling guests, they're rebooking guests, they're trying to figure out what's true, they're trying to get footage. Everybody's doing the same thing. So it's almost the idea of a universal newsroom. So on Sunday nights, we'll be coming together just every other week, and it's just a place to just come and just connect with your colleagues, no matter where they are in the country, in the world. If you're a member of SPJ, you can come and join us for that. Really excited, if you can't tell, about that conversation. So I think we'll be starting that this Sunday at 6 o'clock. So there'll be more information on the site. And finally, Aquiline, my company, offers deeply discounted pricing for members of SPJ. if you wanted to do one-on-one coaching sessions. And we've also, because I believe so strongly in coaching for journalists, I also have barter coaching available. So if you know people who've been laid off or needs-based, please share that with them too. We don't want it to be cost prohibitive. We really want to be able to help everybody in the industry that we can. In fact, we worked with SAG-AFTRA during the strike last year, and we were able to donate more than $20,000 worth of free coaching at that time to actors and writers who were struggling. So as a little bonus for you all, for anybody who wants to sign up for coaching with us, Aquiline is offering a special for us today. So normally you'll see for 3 sessions and 6 sessions, you'll see our standard pricing there. Then you'll see what SPJ pays every day, anytime you want coaching, right there in the white column. And then the special for today, from now through Black Friday, it's basically $100 per session. If you wanted to do any coaching with us, please feel free to visit us on the website, and I'm going to show you. And here's where you go. Our site is Aquiline Coaching, and then there's a page that says pricing and scheduling. Go to SPJ member discounts. You see where I have the circle, and then there'll be packages that look like the 3 across the bottom. So if you're interested, that's where you can find us. And we would love to work with you. We love working with all journalists. And now that I have done that, I have time for questions and comments. If anybody has, thank you for that. I see they put in the chat where you can find all of our Aquiline coaching stuff. So thanks. Does anyone have any questions for me about coaching? I think I can slide through. If anybody needs that, there's that. Does anyone have any questions about the coaching experience or anything at all? Let's see. If you do, just pop it in the chat. Okay. Anyone have any questions about Sunday nights or the column? Okay. I'll give it another second. Okay, well, I think that's a wrap. So thank you so much for joining our session today. Oh, here we go. Sunday nights only for people who sign up for coaching. No, not at all. It's free. It's free for all of us. So we're going to just be doing it. It's just a way that we can help journalists move forward. I mean, I'm completely passionate about this. We are doing this. Our whole practice is, SPJ is, we're fired up, getting coaching to journalists, and just really having our industry benefit from it. So many other industries benefit from coaching. Financial companies, insurance companies, realtors, so many different businesses benefit from coaching, and there's no reason why we shouldn't benefit from it too. I'm all about I like to say I'm a mental game coach for news and entertainment professionals. I mean, like I said, if athletes can have mental game coaches, why can't we for our jobs? All right. Well, great. Well, thank you, everyone. I think that's it. If there's anybody else that has a question. Oh, yes, here we go. So SPJ is going to be making that available. Kim, if you want to write in here how they're going to be able to access the Sunday night chat, that would be great. They might be putting out the instructions later this week, but or maybe it'll be in the newsletter. Maybe it's in the newsletter. I don't know, Kim. But pop it in the chat if you can. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Sunday night chats. I just think it's going to be helpful for all of us, and that would be great. Oh, there you go. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Kim. All right. And yes, and please spread the word. If there's anybody that you know that really could benefit from coaching, we'd love to help. It's our honor to help, and we would love to do so. Okay. All right, I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful to spend this time with you this morning. And if there's anything that you need, please feel free. You can always go to our website. There's going to be this area here too. I hope to hear from you in the Ask a Coach column. And I look forward to meeting you all in the future at some of these great events that SPJ does. So thanks so much and have a great day. Thanks for joining.